What's going on, guys? Welcome into episode number 62 of the Ask Tony Show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Today, I have two absolutely extraordinary individuals in the building. Yes. Two people that I've been wanting to talk to for a long time. I've known them for a while, and what they're doing is really revolutionary, in my opinion, for a lot of different reasons. And so I want to kind of get into that. But Luis Pen and Cassadie Nelson, they are co-owners of Transform Fitness. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Tell us a little bit about you guys, where you're from, and what you're all about.
Yeah. You want to go?
You go.
Well, I'm Luis Pen. I was originally raised in Venezuela. That's where I was born and raised. Moved to the U.S. I was 10 years old. My dad came over in the 90s. I didn't really see him. Didn't know I had a dad. I knew I had a dad, but it wasn't physically there. Not knowing that he was in America working his tail off, going to school, and he started out working as a dishwasher in some Italian restaurant. And not a lot of people know this, right? And yeah, that's kind of what started, that American dream for me. Knowing my dad's background and what he came from, and coming back to Venezuela, getting my mom and I moving over, that was a huge starter for me on how I do things nowadays, and how I do things with my relationship and my marriage. And it's just go out and do it. Yeah. If my dad can do it, I could do it too, but better in a way.
Love it.
But yeah, man, it's been great. I went to school, did business. I became a trainer 6 years ago. And yeah, now we've been running the business for 6 years now, actually. And obviously me and Cass started dating a while ago, and I had Transform already set up and started, and it was my new realm after, being with T-Mobile. I was with T-Mobile, I was with KSL, I was doing a lot of sales, and, I wanted to change my life. I did go through a fat to fit journey. I went from 250 to 160 for my first show, which was huge, and I was pre-diabetic. I had ulcers in my stomach. I had a lot of issues that I needed to fix. But the biggest thing, that I've tried to implement in my life has been, my mental. The Louis that was 2014, 2015 is the complete different who I am now. Yeah. I think that's why she married me too. By the way, she would not like the other, different guy.
Wouldn't happen.
What about you, Cass?
I'm Cassadie Nelson, and I grew up here in Salt Lake. I went to Olympus High School, played soccer there, and then I've actually been personal training for 12 years. Okay. And I coached at Olympus High School, Judge High School, and then all my brothers and my sister, we all have played college soccer. They've played, and I've coached and got to coach with my dad. And my parents were all athletes, so I just wanted to get into something that gave me such purpose and meaning in my life, and I wanted to be able to give that back to other people.
Love it. Love it. So you guys run Transform Fitness. Tell us a little bit about that. How many athletes do you guys have? I know you guys are all over the place with shows.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the story of Transform from where it started to where it is today.
So I went through my journey, and Cass was in it with me from the beginning, years ago. And for me, it was, how can I find fulfillment in giving people that service and the same feeling that I went through when I started, right? So fat to fit, mental, emotional, and physical.
And he actually, when I met him, we started hanging out again, because we actually met in junior high. But we started hanging out again, and he was at KSL, and he hated it. Hated it. So he honestly, he just wanted to do something else.
I was in a shirt and tie every day, and I was like, man, it takes me too long.
Yeah. He wanted to do something else.
It's true. I remember the conversation, years ago, and I told her, we were having lunch, and I said, I'm going to make this happen. I want to do it. I have this skill. I'm very personable, and to be in our realm of business, you have to be personable. You have to be able to fit with different people, color, religion, styles, body style, mental, stability, and that's what we try to implement like I did for me was the mental, physical, and emotional change. Like I said, I wasn't the same person I was when I was big and when I am fit, right? And I had to go through a lot of changes. You know, it's funny because I was, you know, fat, obese. You know, I had a lot of insecurities about myself, you know. And when I became fit, then came the ego. And I'm just going to be real. That's what happens. You know,
your
you feel
insecurities
better.
changed.
Exactly. You feel better. You look good. You know, photo shoots. I had sponsorships. I was like living high.
The dude.
Then I had to realize, you know what? I need to come back down and realize who I am.
Yeah.
And honestly, what I did was I need to make this change into something positive, and that's how I'm going to help people. And Casa had already been training, and she had, you know, her own little business going on the side. And my mentor, Mike Manfrey, shout out to Mike Manfrey.
Shout out, Mike.
He said, Lou, you're great. People love you. You look great. You need to, quit your job, but you can be better than me. And I was like, man, this guy's in like 5-6 years into the business. You know, he's won shows. Back at the time he was competing, he was almost a pro at IFBB. And he told me, you can be better than me. And I took it to heart. I really did. I was like, you know what? Like, I'm going to do this. So I was already certified with PT. So I started getting my nutrition license, and certification on top of that. And I was just reading. I remember that first 2 years, I probably read over like 20 books. Mm-hmm. And I don't like reading. But I had to do that so I can learn more and apply everything that I teach everyone now, and how I talk and how I speak and how I'm so fluent with my words. It's all from books. So if you don't read, you need to start reading.
You need to start reading.
And yeah, man, and you know, me and Mike bought our first building in West Jordan, 2015, I believe. He was there. I came in, and we were just doing nutrition consulting back and forth. You know, it was my family first, and then friends. My dad became one of my athletes. You know, he lost like 50 pounds. Helped my mom, and it just started growing. You know, and I really went from 5 clients to over 50 in 6 months. Okay. And it wasn't because I was amazing, I was the best. It's because I honestly care for people. Yeah. And you know this, we've been friends for a while, and your brother and your whole family, like I really do care for people.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you guys. Because I have issues with the fitness industry. I got a lot of problems with the fitness industry. And so I want you guys to kind of help me straighten it out a little bit. Because there's a lot of aspects. And obviously this all comes from my experience and my conditioning.
Right.
But there are multiple things within the fitness industry that I think could be dangerous. But I feel like you guys do such a good job at helping people avoid those problems.
Yeah.
And that's why you're sitting in these chairs. Because I honestly feel like what you do is different from what a lot of other folks do. I've had people come and we've talked about diets, and we've talked about nutrition and macros and protein and drugs and steroids. I mean, we talk about all sorts of stuff, right?
Right.
But one of the problems that I have, and let's kind of start here, is it seems to me that this sport is incredibly selfish, and that in order to win, you have to sacrifice pretty much everything else.
Yeah.
And I've seen this in my own life, from your relationships to, you know, your social life, sometimes even your job. I mean, you can't perform well in other areas of your life if you want to succeed in this fitness industry. So to that, you guys say what?
Yeah, I mean, that's the all or nothing mentality, right? So we really do try to teach balance. We do that with our lifestyle clients as well. And so we make sure that our athletes are also in a good place to prep. So a lot of them physically look amazing, but we want to see where they're mentally at to see if they actually are in a good place to be competing. So afterwards, if they can reverse out of it and how that's going to affect the rest of their life. And then we also try to do, like I was telling you earlier, we do group trainings together with our athletes on Saturdays, and then we do mental training afterwards. Because to me, if your body is strong but you're mentally weak, I think
that's a struggle.
Yeah. That's a lot of people struggle with, and I think we're trying to change that more than anything. Looking good is just the cherry on top. Right. So we want to have well-rounded athletes where their relationships are good, they show up well at their jobs, and everything else is functioning well, not just like, yeah, you're an amazing athlete, but what about the rest of your life?
For sure.
So we do the IMs of like who makes you. So like, yes, you compete, but
who are you?
You could get in a car accident tomorrow and never step on stage again. So who are you actually at your core?
Right.
Yeah.
That can't be taken away from you. That's what we try to focus on.
Yeah, and I think that the mental aspect is absolutely key, because
Yeah.
if you're just going in there just to get abs, it's number one, it's a short-term goal. You might accomplish it.
Right.
Then you can get into how do you maintain that, right, for the long term. Right. But is that actually the goal? Right. And I say this from experience, right? When somebody wants to get in better shape, it's because they don't like what they see.
Of course.
They don't feel good. They don't look good. And so very easily that can become this mental cascade where it affects your self-esteem.
Right. Yeah.
And where you easily make the connection of I don't look good, I don't feel good, so I'm not worth anything.
Yeah.
So I'm worthless.
Yeah.
Right? So how do you guys approach that? How do you help people separate the self-worth from the self-image? Because to me, those are intrinsically combined, and it's very difficult to separate them. So how do you guys go about that with the people that you guys work with?
I think for me, and I do it more of a setup. For example, like my first consultation, I try to figure out who you are, why are you here? Yeah, the weight's there, let's say 40, 50 pounds, but why are you actually here? Mm-hmm. And I say that because someone that comes into my office always has a reason to be there. Relationship, death, abuse, physically, emotionally, sexually, divorce. They're a mom and they have no goals. That's their title. If I don't know what you're going through here or why you're in my office, so once I like peel off that onion consistently, and in that 30 minutes, I'll know this person really, really well. I know them to the factor of I understand why you're here. Okay, so you went through a divorce and you probably have, some image issues and you feel less, or, you want to look better for yourself because you couldn't when you were married or whatever, right? And that's what I try to do, so I can start that process of, okay, how can I make this person become better as we're losing weight? And if people that are watching this and they're my clients, that's what I do initially, and then I start, every session is different, and I do the one-on-one training, but I always try to bring up the why. How are you feeling? How are you doing? What's been fixing? How are the meals? Mm-hmm. But psychologically, the meals are there. If you want to change, you're going to change. But it's how can I go around that and ask how you are doing, what are you doing, your structure, your sleep, your water, are you reading, are you meditating? And I kind of throw it in there a little bit, every time I speak to people and see if they're actually doing it. And the people that actually lose 30, 40 pounds and do it well, they're also working on the mental, and just me having a constant reminder. And I make it, to answer your question, as progression. And I do the same thing with myself, as long as I'm doing something little by little, I'm progressing. And the fitness aspect of that is 1 pound is enough. 1 page of a book is enough. One day you miss cardio, but you do it the next day, that's still good. So what are you doing, the next day consistently, that you're stepping away from that past person that you don't want to be anymore? Yeah.
Well, and so for me, I think it's a little bit different. Like I was saying, I think if you know who you are at the core, because we have clients that are shredded out of their minds and are still super unhappy. And we have clients that are overweight and they're still unhappy. So to me, it's not necessarily about the weight. I think we've had people that they think, I'm going to be so happy once I have a 6-pack. And it's like, yeah, that's cool for 2 seconds, but I'm still sad because I didn't fix this stuff. I didn't fix the other stuff going on in here. So trying to figure out who they actually are at the core, so that way when stuff does happen or you do put on 5 pounds or 10 pounds, that doesn't change how you feel about yourself. Yeah, that sucks, but I'm still this amazing person. I still have all these other qualities. I'm loyal, I'm kind, I'm caring, I'm giving. I have good work rate, any of those things that can't be taken away from you, so that if you have a 6-pack, awesome, but it doesn't change how you feel about yourself. Is that cool? Yes, but I do think it's hard to separate the two, but I think it makes it a little bit easier to handle. So we just try to give them tools that when stuff does knock at the door, they're in a better place to handle it.
I love that. I think that is key. Go ahead.
And that's why we're open book. Like my office door is always open. Yeah. You have a question, ask. And I do agree with Cash. We're very open into if something happens, hey Lou or hey Cass, like this happened, and we give them the tool. This is what you should do or you can do, so it won't happen again, or you can fix it. Yeah. And we're always consistently there when we communicate, so that it doesn't consistently happen, and they're gonna figure it out. Yeah. End of the day, they end up actually figuring out that solution to that certain problem that they have. Is it I had a cheat meal? It's okay. And I always make it, you got a cheat meal? Cool. Let's just be better next week. If you have 40 meals a week consistently and you have 39 good meals, one meal isn't going to kill you.
Sure.
Let me explain why. And there's always an answer to their issue or problem at the time.
Do you find that it's difficult to get people to open up? And you guys, I love how you guys do it. Number one, because you guys are married. You guys are a couple, but it seems like, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like you take the women and you take the men, right?
Yeah.
To most degree?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
majority.
do you guys find, like, for example, for me, I would assume that it's more difficult to get a man to open up and be vulnerable than perhaps a woman. Is that accurate?
100%.
100%?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So how do you guys get people to tell you the truth, right? Because it's especially for dudes, man, like talking about our feelings. We don't like to talk about our feelings. Right. We're all up in our feelings, but we don't like to talk about our feelings. Yeah. So how do you get a guy that has insecurities to tell you the truth? Because I completely agree with you that until you know what is wrong, you can't fix it.
Yeah.
Right? There's just nothing you can do. You can give them a meal plan or whatever, but it's just not going to fix it, just like Cass said. So how do you get them to actually tell you what they're thinking and what they're feeling?
I was going to say, I know this is going to be different. I think Luis loves going in the office and like having a sit-down conversation. And I still do that, but not as much. I think it comes from the training. We have most people actually break down from a really challenging training, but it has nothing to do with the actual weight, the plates that we're putting on. It's the weight that's here. Yeah. And it just comes out. And then it just starts happening.
Have you ever had people like break down after workouts and stuff like that?
Yeah. During workouts.
Yeah.
They'll start
I'll be looking over. I'm like, oh man, she's crying. I'm like, okay, baby, you handle it.
That's so interesting though, because it would seem that when the body's broken down, the mind kind of takes over, right?
Yeah.
And so that's when things can come out. So that's a very interesting approach of, I'm going to get you to open up throughout the work versus in a one-on-one sit down.
Yeah. Well, I literally had a girl that, like, no matter how many trainings we had or how many times I was like, hey, how are you doing? How's it going? What's going in your life? It was just always like, good, fine, good. And then one day it just happened. She was training and she just broke down and she was like, I suck. I'm not good at this. I don't even know why I'm trying to go back to school. I don't know why I even work, all these things. And just like finally released. I think her body let go of it. Yeah. So it's
which actually it's crazy because, going in the psychological way is if you're mentally not stable, your body will listen. And we always try to preach, self-care, read, meditate, sleep, water, because I gained 5 pounds, Lou. Have you slept? No. Well, there you go. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, and it's true. I go at it from an approach of the door's closed, it's me and you, I'm a very open person. I go, hey, this is what I've been seeing, what's going on, let's break it down for me, talk to me. And the reason why they open up, because I've already built that rapport from the beginning, right? And from day 1 to day 90, I know that if one of my clients has an issue, they're gonna come talk to me. And with the guys, and this is something that we're trying to change, and me and Josue, shout out to Josue, he's my mental guy. We're trying to make it so it's okay to be vulnerable as a man. And that was one of my biggest things as a person, but also in my marriage. How can I be more vulnerable and show my feelings, no matter what it is, positive, negative, down, low, whatever it is. And
you can still be a manly man.
A manly man, but also be vulnerable.
And be loving.
You know what I mean?
And
be
emotional.
Loving and emotional. And, I can tell you all my guys right now, Cam, John, Gabe, all of my main trainers and some of my athletes that have been with me for a while have learned to do that.
Yeah.
And it's not going to come overnight, but it's just knowing that, hey, you can talk to me. Let's fix it now so it doesn't continue to happen. And most of my guys are, like Dylan, he just won Mr. Olympia here in Utah. He got second overall in the National Olympia, and he's going to the big show, and he's the epitome of that. He was super low consistently, and then we started breaking down those layers, and now he's vulnerable, he's loving, he's more in tune with himself. And that's my biggest goal, because if I can do it, going from fat to fit to ego back down, and slowly peel myself as a person, then anybody can do it. I'm just slowly adding the idea into the head, kind of like Inception. I slowly integrate these ideas in these conversations and in these words, and people start slowly figuring it out. That's just kind of how I do it.
No, I love it. Absolutely. And so I completely agree that mental aspect is absolutely critical.
Yeah.
In order for it to be sustainable and for not to just be some shallow little goal, right? Mm-hmm. So one of the other issues that I have with the fitness industry is, and I've actually had podcasts about this in the past because I didn't understand it. People have explained it to me, and I kind of get it more now. But I would love to hear your direct answer. But it seems to me that bodybuilding is the only sport in the world that actively celebrates losing. You watch football, you watch basketball, boxing. There's a loser, man. Like, you did not win.
Yeah.
But when I look at fitness competitions, I see people got 8th and 7th and 6th, and they seem so happy about it. And in my brain, I'm like, bro, you lost, right?
Yeah.
At least that's how I saw it before.
Right.
So walk me through that. How can somebody compete, go through this whole process to get 5th place and be genuinely happy about it?
I think it is because I think it's the only sport that you're doing it 100% of the time. Like, I played soccer, and you're at training or you're at your game, and then you're done. Bodybuilding is 100% of the time sport. Yeah. Your sleep matters, your food matters, your workouts, your cardio. Literally everything that you're doing matters and goes into it. So it is a 12-week prep of, like, everything you do matters. So I think people are just so excited that and some people, you just don't know where they're coming from. Maybe they lost a bunch of weight, but it is 12 weeks of like 100% consistency. And so I think for a lot of people, even though, no, it's not first place and you didn't want to get first place, and yeah, that sucks, it's still like, I did that, I accomplished this, and I stayed disciplined for 12 weeks. That's a pretty big accomplishment.
Of course. No, and I agree 100%. Do you guys find yourself having to pick your athletes back up after a loss, or because of the whole mental training that you do you feel like they take that better because of that aspect?
That's a great question, because over the last, I'll say 3 years, we've had more consistent athletes stay with us for that reason. We have clients that have gotten 7th or, well, recently we've been winning a lot of shows. All of our athletes look really, really good, and we're happy about that. But even when they get 5th, because they're going for that first place, I want to get first, Lou. Cass, first. And I go, listen, you're going to have a teammate that looks better, that showed up more, that did better, or someone's going to come out of nowhere and kick your ass. And that's going to happen, and that's okay. But the biggest win is you coming in here and not going back to how you were day one. And we make it so it's like I said, progression. You step on stage and you get 3rd. Look at what you accomplished. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, you won to me. Yeah. Because you, from day one, you were 40 pounds overweight. Now you're shredded and lean. You learn how to pose. You learn how to eat. You learned structure. You learned self-worth. You learned how to go through hell. And that's all wins to me. And if I can consistently remind them, and they step on stage and go, you know what? I did it, Lou. This is my 3rd place, but I did it.
Yeah.
It's
now, do you feel that dialogue can create complacency? And what I mean by that is if you say, hey, you got 4th, great job, it's all about the experience, I commend you, that's the real win. Are you, and here I'm just kind of playing devil's advocate, right? Is there a place where that makes me kind of take my foot off the gas versus you can get first, bro.
They all want first.
Like, what's that balance? Like, I'm super interested in that delta, right? Because if somebody tells me you got fifth and they're just clapping for me, like, that's going to make me feel good. And I agree with you that the process from point A to point B, it's all in the growth. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, and I probably think this way because I'm in real estate, like, you either close the deal or you didn't.
Right.
And if you didn't close it, you're not going to get paid.
Right.
It doesn't matter how you feel, right? So maybe I look at it from that lens. But do you feel like that dialogue can tend to create a complacency, or do you feel like it motivates them to then do it again?
Well, so we've got, I won't name names, but we had a client that we kept pushing her back. We don't have people step on stage unless we think they're ready, because that is our name, that is our business card.
Right.
So we want people to win. So we're very upfront of how they're doing, so that they know. Like we had one girl, we were like, hey, you can do this show, because we kept pushing her back. She wasn't ready, and we said, you're not going to win this show. You might not even place, but maybe it's a good idea for you just to step on stage and even see if you like it, if you dieting and all this hard work is even worth it for you. Because if it's not, then you should stop doing this, you know? So she stepped on stage and she was like, man, and she ended up placing. She got, I think, fourth or fifth. Yeah.
But she realized.
That was a spark.
Yeah.
Right?
She realized, like, oh, I should have dieted harder. I should have stayed to my plan, and I need to be better. So it actually worked.
Yeah.
And some people end up realizing, like, you know what, this isn't for me. Yeah, I don't. That was good enough. Yeah. And then they end up either going somewhere else or just not competing anymore.
I think on the guy aspect, I'm so hard on my guys. Like, I wouldn't say I'm a dick, but I'm putting these guys through.
Yeah, you're an eggplant emoji.
Yeah. I'm putting these guys through, like, the most intense workouts, posing, dial it in. And most of my guys actually just continue to do it. But same factor is they get third, they go, Lou, I want to get bigger. I know what to do now.
On their own.
I know on their own.
Love it.
Because, again, going back to day one, I'm fixing and tweaking. And I let them know, hey, you could be really good at this. You might not be first place or take the overall, but in a year or 2 or 3, if you continue this work ethic, you are going to be great. Yeah. And this is why my guys are still with me, most of them, and same with the girls. I have girls that are like, I'm ready to go pro. Let's go. What do I got to do, Lou? Cool. But let's slowly get there.
Sure.
I think setting our standards, like what we expect. Mm-hmm. We don't want to lose. Mm. We don't want to get 5th place. So, like, we don't want to be just good enough. We don't want to, and I think that starts from our workouts too. Like, we don't, if you expect me to come in and give you 100% and pay attention to you and give you my best, I expect the same from you every single time.
Yeah,
of course. Of course. No.
Yeah, and we show up and they realize that. And they start showing up more and more and more and more in every aspect. And I agree. It's definitely going back to setting the standard and setting the expectation of, hey, this is what we want you to do. So what you need to do to get here. Trust the process. And the ones that lose go back and say, oh crap, like, my teammate looks better because she followed the exact same protocol. Diet's a little bit different. They're off, but nothing really changes. Chicken's chicken. Cardio is cardio, tremolo's tremolo, So that's the biggest thing, to start realizing I could have done better. I'm going to try again. Now I know what to expect. Let's go. I'm ready, coach. They're like, okay, hold back a little bit.
I love it. And I want to kind of transition into one of the reasons why I think I admire you guys the most. Because you're both in phenomenal shape, and I can tell that you guys have a really strong relationship, and you run a business together. Those 3 things are so hard to do just by themselves.
I didn't even think about that until you said it.
The fact that you
didn't even think about it
at the same time is bonkers. So my question is, how? What are some of the ups and downs? If there is a couple out there that maybe they're both struggling with their weight, maybe they would like to start a business, maybe their goals aren't exactly aligned. So how do you guys manage that to where you run a successful business together? Because, for example, I run a real estate business. My wife doesn't. Like, she's there, she's my partner, but she doesn't run it with me.
Right.
So in your case, that's why I think it's unique, because you guys run it together. You're both in great shape, and you make it work. So how does that work day to day?
So, you can kind of start off. We've made it work for a while. I'm prepping. You know, I like the suffering. I'm not gonna lie. I love to be on prep. I work a lot better mentally, physically, emotionally when I'm on prep. I get a lot more shit done. In the beginning, it was hard because she had never been with someone that was low body fat, 2 hours of cardio, dieting super low, and
he gets pretty hangry.
I do, but I get quiet. I don't speak, and I talk a lot. You know, I talk a lot, but I don't speak at all.
Now, is that just naturally you're like that, or you just had to stop lashing out?
So one, I'm an introvert. Guys, I'm an introvert. I know you don't know this, but I'm actually an introvert. I don't speak until I need to speak. And if I have something to say, I'll say it. But with us, you know, I'd come home, I'm exhausted, I'm working, and she'd be like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "What? Are you okay? Did I do something wrong?" I'm like, "No." And it was like that for years. And she'd be mad at herself because I did something wrong, or Lou's mad at me, not realizing that it actually was never her. She has nothing to do with my emotions during prep. It's all solely me. And I think it took her a little bit to understand that low energy, because she's super high energy all the time, you know, but I can't match that when I'm like 4 or 3 weeks out. And the biggest thing that I can tell you guys is communicate. And I've told her, hey, this is how I'm going to be. This is how I am. This is how I feel. This is how I'm going to act. I'm already aware because I know what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, you know. But and it took us a little while for her to understand, you know, it's not me, it's Lou.
Yeah. Well, and I think so training-wise, like we both have been athletes our whole life growing up. And we were friends first. And he actually asked if he could come start working out with me. And I always trained with my dad. He started taking me to lift when I was 13, and so he came and he was like thinking he was gonna be this badass, and he's like, "Oh, we'll do legs," and I made him cry on the first day.
Okay, you made me throw up.
Okay, either way,
I love it. You cried a little bit.
You cried, you threw up, you
Inside.
did a little bit of both. But I think just that, like, we have fun. We're actually best friends, and we work out together every day, and so we still set aside time so it's not just business all day long. And even though we work in the same place,
I don't talk to her.
Yeah,
we don't talk.
We will, like, he'll come up and he'll hug me while I'm training clients, and I'm like, I'm busy, but we still just have fun with it. And I think for Luis, I think he gives me a lot of credit, and vice versa. We're able to see each other's strengths and play on that. And he's good where I'm not, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And like I love the training part of it, and he will openly tell people all day long like I'm the better trainer, but he loves the nutrition, and he's the better nutritionist. And so I think we balance each other out that way, and are able to kind of take our egos out of it.
I love it, because that's super hard to do.
Yeah.
It is.
Right? It's very hard to do. When you say he's better at a certain thing than I am, or she's better at a certain thing than I am, that you're asking for trouble, right? Unless you're both mentally on the same page, right? So to be able to bring those two things together and have that self-awareness of, you know, hey, he's a better nutritionist. Oh, she's a better trainer. Go to her for this. It might not seem that way, but that is extraordinary.
Yeah,
it really
and
is.
I think I'm very OCD. I'm a numbers guy. I'm detailed oriented to the freaking dust ball, right? And I think she's more, you know, flow, go with the flow, fun, active, you know, stock it out, have a good training where I'm, you know, analyzing, lifting inch by inch. And we've actually made a good structure. We've had the same schedule for a while now, for years. You know, I wake up usually before her a little bit. I do my cardio sometimes, or I'm reading, meditate. She gets up. I'm already at work. So we've made it so I'm at work, she's at work. We're actually working. It's our business. And then we train together every day. It's been like that for years. And then we go back to work. And then we have our home life. The dogs, you know, the house, things we could take care for. And the one thing that I think people need to realize is it's balance. And she said it right. I'm good at business and the numbers and profit and what we're doing, how we're going to scale, where she's not good at that, and that's okay. And I've told her, it's okay. I'll take care of that while you take care of what I'm not good at. You know, the house stuff, the clients, the girls, the ladies, the athletes, the little things that I can't do.
Well, I think that's, again, just balance, because he is definitely the dreamer, the, like, bigger, better, got to have this, reach. And I'm like, very much live in the present, take care of the people that we have now, make sure they have the best experience now. Mm-hmm. And so I think that helps.
I love it. And so how do you avoid overpowering her, especially in an industry that, and to credit to people like you guys, seems like women are making so much progress.
Oh yeah.
But in a sport that could be largely dominated by males, how do you consolidate that to, if you have a strong personality, which I know that you do, to not overpower Cass if she's more mellow, more in the moment? How do you guys consolidate a chill personality with a strong personality?
So this is more of a I actually learned from a therapist, and it took me a while to understand it. And I'm a go-getter from the freaking bones out, right? So what I learned, and you guys can take this into how you want to implement it into your life, is I'm a 9-10 goer. Cass is a 6 and a 7, right? How do we balance that? I need to slow my roll. And for the last couple of years, I've been an 8. We've been 8-8, 7-7. And she has actually made me better because I've learned to be in the moment, be present. And when I need to go, I'll go. Then I'll come back down. And together, when we need to do something or get something or strive for something, we talk about it, we communicate it and say, okay, we want to do it. Yes or no? Cool, let's do it. Boom. And you go back down. And that balance, and this goes back to supporting your partner. Guys, support your freaking partner in whatever the frick they want to do. And that's one of the biggest things that I have, and I know that I do try to implement it into our life, is whatever I want to do, go do it, babe. Vice versa. You want to do it? Yeah, go do it. You can do it. If you want my help, ask. Vice versa.
So I actually had a client yesterday. Her name's Kulia, and she played college basketball. And she brought up, she goes, I'm so glad that I went with you because Luis at first, she's only had male coaches. And that very much is still a stigma that guys are harder and better coaches in the fitness industry and just sports in general. I still think that people think females are just not good coaches, or they're not going to be as intense, or So she had said, she was like, oh, well, I want to be with you. And I hadn't met her yet, and she said she hadn't seen my Instagram. She didn't know anything about me, and he was like, you want to be pushed, so I'm giving you want to be with my wife.
Yeah.
And she, after that first training, she was like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
But she'd never had any female trainers or anyone that was good. Sure. So.
And I always give, I tell everybody, you want to get your ass kicked, go to a class and you'll never come back. Or you want to stay because it's the push.
Sure.
I'll give you the push, but not like her. Right, and it's a different type of training, right? She said it earlier. You fit your trainer. People love Lou, but all that. But I'm not gonna treat you the same as her or any of my other guys. And people need to realize that you might fit with different people, like in a relationship. You're not gonna fit every person you date. You have to find out and go through trials and errors to figure out, okay, I like this, how to be trained like this, and find my diet and what works for my body. I can put that into so many different perspectives, and it's just, going back to, I always support her what she wants to do, and I tell people, yeah, she's better than me, and that makes me feel good because I know she is, and she'll tell the exact same thing back, and that's how we keep that balance.
Yeah, I love it. So just kind of wrap up, guys. I'm gonna ask the same question. Well, I asked the same question to all of our guests, but for both of you to answer it specifically. Individually, if you will. So the question is, what would be your number one tip to somebody who is struggling with their self-image, struggling with their self-esteem, has tried this fitness shit 10 times, it doesn't work, they don't feel good, and they're just struggling, man. They're struggling to get up to work every day. They're not liking what they're seeing, what they're feeling. Cass, what would be your number one tip to somebody listening that feels that way?
My number one tip. Ooh, it's a good one. I would just say just don't give up. Don't give up, because I have seen a million people who've tried a million different things, It just might not be the right thing. It might not be the right fit for you. It might not be the right person, the right diet. So I would just say, you're worth it. Don't give up on yourself. If that's truly what you want and it's going to bring you happiness, you're worth it.
Love it. Yeah. What about you, Lou?
To piggyback on that is there's always something that works. You just haven't figured it out. So don't quit. You can try keto. You can do high protein. You can do the carnivore diet. You can go to the Atkins. You can do Herbalife. Find out what works best for you and stick to it, because once it works and you flow and you keep flowing with it, it's going to work. And that's the biggest thing. People don't take the time to actually take a step back and say, okay, I need to really dial this down part of my life because I'm failing at this. But if you fail, what comes out of it? Success, right? And I can apply that to a lot of different things.
I would just say, I would add, find someone that you feel like actually even, really genuinely cares about you. I think there are a lot of coaches and trainers out there that you have to fit their program and this is how they do it. But I think a good coach will look at you and say, okay, tell me about your life, actually care about you, learn about you. Okay, how can I make you successful, help you get there, and make it fit you instead of you gotta meet me here, you gotta figure it out.
Perfect. Yeah. I love it, guys. I love it. So tell our audience where they can find you, where they can plug into you. Yes. If they're thinking about doing something, now is the pitch time, just to wrap up.
So Instagram, Louis_Gucci. That just came out. Don't ask me how.
You gotta tell me that story at some point. At some point, you gotta tell me that story.
But Instagram. We did launch our new website, you guys. So really cool, because now you can plug into whatever trainer you want. You don't have to go to Louis, okay, or Cass. We made it so all of our employees and our trainers are actually chimed into the website. You click on their name, it goes right to their schedule, and you can book with them with their bio. It's more of a personal feel. Again, fit the person you want to go with, right? Yeah, so Instagram, our website is up. We do have a new app coming out as well, breaking out the news. But that's where you guys can find us. We're on Google. We are the #1 5-star rated nutrition and training company.
That's actually true,
awesome.
Guys. That's actually true.
Yeah.
Fact check.
Fact check.
Cassadie Nelson, that's my Gmail. And then our Transform one is TRNSFRM Fitness. That's
no
our
vowels.
Instagram. I know, yeah.
No vowels allowed.
We took them out.
There was a company in New York.
There you go.
By the way, and I had to trademark that name because it wouldn't let me allow to use the other name.
Vowels.
And our facility is in South Salt Lake. You guys can contact us and come in. If you want to get a free training, we offer that as well. We offer the free training. We do birthday trainings as well. Women classes, you guys, women out there that want to get fit. My wife is amazing at what she does. We have 5 classes a week. You can come in, try it out, and it's part of the community. We want to make it so everyone's welcome. And in our gym, everyone has the exact same goal. And we want to make it so it's fun and outgoing, and the environment is awesome. And we keep hearing that, and we're super proud that we've established and we've made it so everyone feels welcome and great when they walk into the gym.
I love it. Yeah, and I can vouch for that 100%, guys. So thank you guys so much for joining me. Guys, this has been episode number 62 of the Ask Tony Show. Check these guys out. Follow them. Hit them up. Till next time.